The Dan York State of Mind program is brought to you in part by Lookout Rhode Island and Takeo Comfort Solutions.
Good evening and welcome to my State of Mind. I am Dan York. It's been a busy week. When have we not said it's been a busy week? We have some security concerns in Washington, and now our former governor is in Washington as the Secretary of Commerce, and a brand new governor, Dan McKee, is now formally taking the reins. Tonight, we'll talk about the education piece, the vaccination prioritization. Joe Biden kind of stepped it up this week by saying, look, by the end of March, every teacher's got to have a needle in the arm at least once. And that has kind of improved the morale of teachers throughout the state, as we all have a goal of getting all the kids back to school full-time as soon as possible. Here's the network story on Joe Biden. And when we come back from that, I'll introduce you to the Chariho Superintendent, followed by the Providence Teacher Union President.
Less than 24 hours after President Joe Biden said he wants teachers to receive the first dose of the vaccine by the end of March, CVS pharmacies opened up eligibility as part of their federal partnership. Soon after, all vaccine slots were filled. Waking up to the news was a sigh of relief for some teachers at the all-boys Bishop Hendricken High School who were able to secure their shot.
This puts us in a really good spot to add another really important tool to our toolbox. So that, we're able to get the boys back full in person.
Now, one Coventry woman with underlying health conditions who is in the next eligible age group to get the vaccine is worried she will have to wait longer.
Is this decision being made because it's the right reason, or is it because somebody wants votes from the teachers union?
That's Nancy St. Jean. She believes teachers should get vaccinated, but not at the expense of the next group in line.
Don't exclude us. I don't think that's fair.
The Department of Health with Governor Dan McKee indicated Wednesday they don't expect to delay other people's eligibility if teachers are prioritized on a state level, especially with the ramp up in the state's vaccine supply.
Supply is going to increase rapidly.
With Gina Picard, she is the superintendent of the Chariho School District. I like to go to Superintendent Picard because she has a mixed resume, and I should say a full resume. She understands what it's like to run the school committee side in North Providence, and she's been a metropolitan educator with experience in Providence, and now she runs the country district in Chariho, where, by the way, Gina, there's never a problem, right? Everything is smooth as silk. True?
Well, you know what? One day at a time. I think that's our philosophy. Take it one day at a time, work together. But we have our bumps, but we handle them.
Well, I'm being facetious in a way, but you have been lucky that you've been able to put together a school year for the most part. Remind everybody about how you've been doing.
We actually have been lucky. And the funny thing is, our theme for the month of March is why are we lucky to be in Chariho? And one of the things I would say is it's truly been a team effort. As a new superintendent in the middle of a pandemic, opening up schools, it took a lot of trust. I mean, the school committee hired me, started June 18th. So now you're putting your faith in someone brand new to your district to say that I felt ready, along with our team, to open up schools in the middle of a pandemic where our parents and our families and our communities didn't know what to expect. So with a lot of planning, we brought together 3 teams for our reopening plan. We worked really hard to think about staggered start times around, bringing in grade 5 at the middle school first for one day, and then 6 and 7 and 8. So that students got used to protocols and procedures. Elementary schools have been in since the first day of school every single day, minus a couple of times where, you're moving. What we've tried to do, Dan, is really be thoughtful about the in-person learning. It was very clear to us that our community preferred, as a whole, having their kids back in school as much as possible. So our goal was 5 days a week. So we've been able to continue that. So, for example, what we'll do is when we contact trace, if we can just move out a few close contacts, we do that. If I have to move a class to distance learning, we'll do that. Sometimes it's a team. And very rarely now, we haven't moved a school to distance learning since, I think, November because of staffing. What we saw was my HR administrator really was, and myself and our admin team worked very hard to get more subs. We have a very strong day-to-day sub-pool, not certified, which is another area of need. But it really is a team effort, and we're very proud. We do believe we're probably the only district that has the most in-person learning days than any other district in the state.
Since the vaccine is the big story now and teachers' need for it, regardless of being in Chariho, I'm sure there's an anxiety that teachers have about being in school every day, and an anxiousness about when are they going to be able to get the vaccine. Our previous report that we just aired, reminds everybody that Joe Biden kind of changed the conversation earlier this week. And CVS is now posting, availabilities if you can get them. It's like getting concert tickets, right? It's hard to get it, but you're doing what you can. Vaccines in a second. What's the infection rate been? Are teachers testing positive? Are kids testing positive?
They are. We have about 3,200 students, about over 500 staff. So, you're looking at 4,000 people. Around that, our COVID rates are spread in schools. We're less than 0.02%, about 147 cases to date. But that includes all of our staff, all of our students, including distance learners who have never set foot in the building. Like, I track all of that. We don't trace all of them, obviously, but the spread is low, but we have, very good protocols in place. And I think we're always looking at ways. The biggest thing with the vaccinations and the hot button issues for our parents are travel. The quarantining after travel to a hot spot is something we're continuing to really stay tight on, because I have almost 80 to 85% of my students in person. So parents are relying on us to not only be thoughtful and use common sense, but also protect our schools from spread. And the vaccination conversation with teachers, I think we all saw that our educational systems are the hub of our economy. If we shut down, it has a huge impact on work every day and businesses. So that has to be something that we're thoughtful about. I don't move to a DL day lightly. Even with our snow, we open unless I'll call an hour delay if I can. I don't make the move quickly. And I think the parents notice that we take it very seriously. But the vaccinations, I think the concern is that while it's hard to pit people against each other, who's more at risk, who's a priority. My mom has her 2 shots, and I thank God that she does. But I also know that I have teachers who are concerned that their students aren't going to see that vaccination for a very long time, and they're going to be in front of them. So if they're not vaccinated, they're going to be, their students are last on the list. So the concern is we're not being prioritized, but the very people that we're going to serve every day and come in contact every day will never be prioritized above anyone else. So we're going to see them every day. So we really need to be mindful of the fact that, yes, there's no one's going to say who's more important. I think we could all debate, who has high risk family members at home. I could be 22, young teacher, healthy, but I'm with my mom and dad who are very high risk people. So I think people's situations are not necessarily one or the other. I think it's a host, and our teachers also could provide a sort of sense of the vaccine, a trust in the vaccination process, because they're trusted members of our community. And the more we vaccinate teachers, I think would show our communities that, hey, how did it go with our educators who are seeing our students every day? But I don't think any of us believe that they're more important than anyone else. I think they are definitely important.
No, I hear what you're saying. So that it seems like the theme is, and I only have a few seconds here, the theme is not only is it important, but it might be a template and a confidence booster for the rest of the community to see the schools more active and back in the game. Never mind the economic benefits of it, right? So makes sense. Superintendent Picard from Chariho, appreciate your time. We'll check in with you before the end of the school year, I'm quite certain. When we come back, the head of the Providence Teachers Union for that perspective on vaccines and more. Stay with us on My State of Mind.
Thank you, Dan.
Welcome back to My State of Mind. You see the Providence Teacher Union leader, Maribeth Calabro. I just want to make a mention from last segment. Gina Picard, the Chariho superintendent, mentioned to me off the air that the testing program that they're doing at Chariho is really giving confidence to the teachers. They do it once a week. And that buoys, how they feel about being in. And now that we've got this vaccine program beginning to start, it'll add to the confidence. Maribeth is no stranger to this broadcast on either platform, TV or radio, but let me start with that. First of all, welcome. She's obviously at work as we record on Thursday morning for this weekend show. Are you guys in Providence testing on a regular basis?
We test bi-weekly.
Bi-weekly.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, but we're honestly taking what we can get. Honestly, it's people are utilizing the testing. They're happy to have it. Obviously, it would be better if we had it every week, but every other week is just not as good, but keeps folks hopeful.
Yeah. So people don't understand, why does one district have it once a week? Another district has it twice a week. What's your understanding of that? Just resources?
I think it's resources. I do. I think it's resources. I think it's size, capacity. We have 1,940 teachers. I don't know how many, and school staff, 1,940 teachers plus school staff. So I'm pretty sure Chariho is much smaller than we are. So it's a lot easier to live.
So listen, you've been pretty transparent in terms of your concerns all the way through since this thing began a year ago, and we shut down. You've had a struggle, and I mean you try to litigate some issues here with the school system and the state, which by the way is the same thing these days since we had the state takeover. Before we get into the virus stuff itself, what's your current status and comfort zone with the way things are going in the Providence City Schools?
We're still in older buildings than most. We're still in close proximity in some classrooms. That we're doing the best that we can. And I think that with the introduction of the testing of every other week, I think that people have started to feel a little bit better. We have seen a decrease in the amount of exposures, if you will. So not as many. That doesn't mean that they don't exist, because they do, but we don't have as many people currently out for quarantine as we had post holiday break and in the fall.
Well, that's a good thing. I mean, throughout the school year, you've been very concerned about what you consider to be kind of a, my words, but a kind of a circus atmosphere where, or a carousel, really, where you'd have a teacher who's actually stepping in to monitor an in-class group while that teacher is responsible for teaching on a distance learning basis on a computer. So kids, here's Mrs. Jones' assignment for you. Sit tight and behave while I teach these other kids on the screen. I mean, that's been kind of a modus operandi, right?
Yeah, and it's that kind of thing continues. It doesn't continue, like I said, to the extent and degree that it had previously, but we still currently have a group of educators, our dual language teachers, who are doing that regardless of the situation in terms of COVID. So they're teaching virtually and they're teaching in person simultaneously.
Well, it's been your challenge overall. Look, you've plowed through. You were looking for more substantial breaks and pauses. You didn't succeed in that. It's funny that your ATF, American Federation for AFT, American Federation of Teachers, leader Randy Weingarten has got a lot of FaceTime nationally, and she, while there's this whole thing, why aren't the teachers back? Why aren't the teachers back? She's got a lot of unions where the teachers have been back. I mean, this is a very big union that I'm sure she uses what your experience as a template for conversation nationally to say, wait a second, by the way, before you start suggesting that we're not going into work, I got groups that are in work. Check Providence, Rhode Island, right?
Exactly. We're in work. We have been since September 14th.
Do you feel, give me a summary before we talk vaccines and in the next segment, do you feel like a lot of the consternation was well worth it over the course of this year? I mean, it's hard to do a retroactive or retrospective look while we're still with months left in the school year. But are you at peace at all with what's happened and where the pacing is? And do you feel any less consternation?
we're always still concerned about the health and safety of our students and our staff, always. That'll be our primary focus until we get a handle on this ridiculous virus. And so while there is relief when new things come to pass, such as the biweekly testing, and now we have not only a president who's focused on getting teachers vaccinated, but a governor who is focused on getting teachers vaccinated, because we are in school. And I know everybody on social media is like, you people need to get back to work. We're at work. And the folks who aren't at work are because they have health risks that they cannot come into school. So
So I guess we'll do a retro when the time is right. But I just think it's important to remind people that the city of Providence, by hook and by crook, and whether you liked it or not, have been doing their best to operate. When we come back, we'll talk about not only that testing, but the vaccine prospects and where the mindset is for teachers. And by the way, there's a new boss for the Providence school system because there's a new governor. Stay with us. Maribeth Calabro from the Teachers Union will continue with me when we return. Right back. With Maribeth Calabro, the Providence Teacher Union president. So vaccine, right? Joe Biden, changed the conversation on Monday when he said, look, by the end of March, teachers got to have at least one needle in the arm. I'm sure there's a lot of national influence. Your aforementioned union president, I'm sure had a lot to do with a lot of this. And some folks allege, well, it's politics. Well, guess what? Everything's politics. Constituents. Every constituency is looking for what they need. The CVS thing is now a trickle for Rhode Island. Yeah. What's the pulse for the week since this was decided? And are you going to ask the state to actually allocate in its own operation more teacher preference?
So I can't even express to you the relief that came over teachers once the announcement was made by both President Biden and Governor McKee. It was just like this collective sigh of, okay, we can, there's a light at the end of the tunnel. I think that those teachers who are in school every day with 26 students in front of them, especially in urban settings like we're in, should be getting vaccinated. That's not to say that I don't think everybody should be getting vaccinated, because I think everybody should be getting vaccinated. I also think that, our most high-risk populations in terms of the city of Providence should be being vaccinated. And I believe that that's what's starting to happen now. I think that the vaccine is going to be a welcome relief to many.
Sure. No doubt. But one of the calculations are hard to follow, because the Department of Health would suggest that even with the lowering of the threshold to 65 and those with underlying conditions, that a pretty good proportion of the teacher population, just by the nature of that, falls into the category. Do you have a check? I'm not sure that's the case. We have
at least 40% of our teachers are over the age of 50.
Okay.
In Providence, I can't speak for other districts, but so there's that age bracket, and there are within that age bracket we also have high risk folks, and some of our high risk folks are doing distance learning, and some of our high risk folks are still in school. So I think that it's best that we try to get those folks who are in school vaccinated as quickly as possible. How want them taken away from anyone else.
How are you doing with acceptance of the vaccine? Your national president on national TV this week projected that 70% of the teachers want the vaccine. Are you formally or informally polling your Providence Teachers Union?
We have not done a formal or informal poll. However, I can tell you that our private Facebook page lit up yesterday, quite frankly, from probably 6 a.m. until late last night as to, I'm getting the shot, I finally got in, I can't get in, those kinds of things. And so I did hear that, Walgreens was potentially opening to educators as well. And so I think that, everyone I know that I've spoken to today, and I've spoken to probably about 35 teachers today, has an appointment or has already gotten a shot.
Okay.
So that's pretty good.
Yeah, that's pretty good. So we'll keep tabs on that. I only have a couple minutes here. Tell me, with the state takeover and then bang, COVID hit. So, I mean, you want to talk about a double whammy for the system, the city of Providence. We have a new governor, and he is not de facto, he's in charge. Obviously, the commissioner remains the same and the superintendent remains the same. He loves the education field. He has his own thoughts on it, and sometimes he's battled with the unions. But you tell me, what is your perspective on Governor Dan McKee and his role in running the system?
Well, I think first of all, I literally just met him last week. And so I think he's very intelligent. I think that he has negotiated several contracts in his tenure in Cumberland. And so I think he's aware of the negotiation process. I also think that he needs to be brought up to speed as to what is in fact happening in the day-to-day of our district, because not to cast aspersions on folks who are not here to defend themselves, but I don't believe that he was given the information that he needed to get to hit the ground running in terms of negotiations or take over in Providence.
Well, we only have a few seconds here. Negotiations are what? Characterized? Stalled? Non-existent? Picking up pace?
We had a brief hiatus, and we'll be back on Monday. We'll be back negotiating on Monday.
All right. Well, it's never easy. We'll tackle that when we can. Right now, just get shots in arms and wear your mask and
wear your mask. Wear 2 masks if you can, and hopefully we all remain safe and we can get our kids back into school.
All right, Maribeth, thank you. Maribeth Calabro, Teacher Union President of Providence. Final word, and we come back. Stay with us. Obviously, the vaccination situation is a day-to-day change, and we'll try to stay up with it each weekday, 3 to 6 on WPRO. And we'll see you back here next weekend on My State of Mind. Good night.